Hey YouTube, it's Keen947 aka Wolfkeen with a Wolf's Word. So, on this edition of the Wolf's Word, we're going to be talking about an FPS shooter that has been one of the most anticipated shooters of 2011. The game that was supposed to rival Modern Warfare 3 and was also in Shooter of the Year category, made by DICE and EA. If you haven't figured out what I'm talking about yet, I'm talking about Battlefield 3. Now, there's a lot I can say about Battlefield 3, and there's a lot of good and bad. So let's get to the good. First off, let's talk about some of the good, the bad, and the ugly. So, I guess we might as well get this part out first. To begin with, there was controversy between DICE and Infinity Ward. The company that made Battlefield 3, DICE, was actually throwing off boasts and taunts towards Infinity Ward. Well, they were saying like this, like, oh, our shooter's gonna be better. We're gonna have the best multiplayer. We're gonna have the better storyline. We're gonna have the better co-op game. They tried to blow it out of the water. Tried to say that they shouldn't even try with Modern Warfare 3. They shouldn't even release it. And people in Infinity Ward was like, we don't want to get into this conversation. We hope you do well with your game. We really do. So Infinity Ward avoided themselves from a big fight between DICE, and that was a good thing. It showed that they were the older person for this. Alright, let's talk about the first and foremost, the story. The story mode, you play as Sergeant Blackburn, who's a Marine. What happens though is that the first sequence you go through is that he ends up going into a train that's been commandeered by terrorists. At the end of the sequence, you go back 8 hours where you're under arrest and in an investigation. So basically, you go through flashback missions leading up to a certain part where you find out that there were these nuclear warheads, miniature nuclear warheads, and there are 3 of them, but you only found 1. So now you're trying to figure out where could the other 2 be and what is the purpose of these nuclear warheads. Then that's when you start playing as another character, but I gotta get something on my chest. We all know that in Modern Warfare 3, we play as multiple characters, okay? Sometimes we only get to use a character once. In Battlefield 3, the only character we mainly play as is Sergeant Blackburn. The only other main story character that they talk about is Dmitri, or Dima, which is a Russian. He's a Russian that's also trying to stop these nuclear warheads from going off, and he was trying to stop the terror attack in Paris, which you find out in the storyline. Now, the thing that makes this story, like, it's a difficult game. Like, this game is real difficult. Like, this isn't a game you can just run and gun, like, kill everybody in 1 or 2 shots. And, well, you can kill people in 1 or 2 shots, but it's not the same run and gun where, like, in Modern Warfare 3 storyline, you just be like, da, 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 like, I'm still alive, what you got, huh? And, in this one, da, da, dead. That's what's gonna happen. 2 shots, you're done. That's what makes this game more of a strategic shooter. You have to be careful, you have to plan your moves out carefully, because 1 or 2 shots, you're dead. So, it kind of adds a difficulty to it. Even if you play on a low difficulty, it's still like 2 or 3 shots you could get killed. Depends on the gun as well. So, let's get into some things. One thing I hate is that they introduced 4 characters. Sergeant Blackburn, I think it's Miller, I don't remember his rank. I forgot the 3rd one, but she's a pilot. She's a pilot of the U.S. Navy, I think. Or, yeah, I think it's the Navy or something like that. And finally, Dima, who's the Russian. Now, man, my camera's a little off. Yeah, that should help. Now, the thing is, though, one thing I definitely gotta say is, I hate that most of these characters, you only see them once. Like, the woman that you play as, you only see her once. The, Miller, you only see him once. The main character you're gonna play as is Sergeant Blackburn. But they try to make it that the Russian character that you play as is also a main character. But, what's a drawback? We only see him 2 times in the whole storyline. We only see him once in Paris, and then the second time when you head to the estate. That's the only 2 times we see the Russian character when he's supposed to be a main asset in the storyline. So I felt that was a bad thing. A second thing is that it's Russia. It's basically another one of those Russia versus U.S. crap, which has been done millions of times in most war games that I've played, leading up to about PS2. One of the U.S. versus Russian games I played on the PS2 that I can give a prime example of is what was the game's name? Oh yeah, it was Freedom Fighters. It wasn't a great damn it, my camera's off. Like, I hate this camera. See, like, now I knocked it off the center. There we go. Like, damn it. So much for a review, guys. Now I'm just trying to adjust the camera. Nope, still not on. There we go, that's perfect. Alright, now, the thing is, I hate that they only show these characters like once or twice, and that's it. When Dima Dimitri is one of the main characters. So that made the storyline really bad. It's Russia versus the US again, which made the storyline again bad, because it's been done millions and millions of times. And what makes the storyline even worse is the fact that they make you do moments like you would in Call of Duty. Like, be like, get from here to here with all these guys shooting at you. Like, here's a prime example. In the very beginning, they tell you to run to this location in the bridge with no cover whatsoever. There's like no cover on that bridge, like very little to no cover, and grab an LMG. You have to grab the LMG so you can defend yourself in that location. When I played it, I found it wasn't necessary. Like, I grabbed the LMG and I'm like, this gun's terrible. I'm switching back to my assault rifle, and I still managed to do it with just my assault rifle. So even if they tell you to do one thing, you could end up doing something completely different, and you'll still end up making it. Which is a bad thing. So that means these objectives aren't forcible. It's making it seem like some of these objectives aren't forcible. So it really put me away on that one. What's another thing I could say about the storyline? As I said, they make you do a lot of Really, this game feels like a knockoff of Call of Duty. I don't know which Call of Duty, but it's a straight knockoff of one of the Call of Duty games. I really can't say which one, but it's a straight knockoff, and I hate it. Alright, now that we talked about the steaming pile of shit that is the storyline, let's go into the next thing, the co-op. If you see my gameplay, I played with my friend Killer Panders. Now, the co-op mode is supposed to be derivations of the main storyline, which is okay. But the co-op mode is completely and utterly unfair. It's easy to die in the co-op mode just as it is in the story mode. It is really difficult as hell to, like, do what you can. Quite honestly, me and my friend Killer Pandas had the worst time ever trying to do certain missions in the co-op mode, and we ended up dying a lot of times. We didn't fail missions, but we ended up going down over and over and over again because it made it difficult. Like, it's hard to spot the enemy. Like, they don't even give you, like, great locations where the enemy could be. They're just like, figure out for yourself. Like, go look down your thermal scope, try to figure out where the enemy is, and try to shoot him down. I couldn't see where half the enemies were, and some of them actually rushed me, and I'm like, oh shit, like, trying to shoot at them before they kill me. And this got annoying. It's cheap. That's what it is. The co-op mode is cheap. One of the most ridiculous parts is that they make you fly a helicopter. And the problem is, if you saw the video, me and Killer Pandas had the worst time trying to figure out how to fly that helicopter. I'm not saying that that's the game's fault, that the fact that we needed to fly a helicopter and no one knew how, but I wish they gave us like some sort of tutorial or something like that on how to fly a helicopter. All they did was just give us the controls and say, figure it out for yourself. I wish they gave us some type of tutorial to help us learn how to fly a helicopter, because we ended up failing that mission, I think roughly 15 times before I finally got behind the wheel of the helicopter. My fourth attempt, finally learned how to fly that thing, and finally was able to complete the mission with my partner. Then the last mission we got stuck into was a night mission, which was really annoying, and that's when me and my friend finally had enough of the co-op. The co-op, there's only 6 missions, and most of the missions take about 15 to 20 minutes. That's not a lot of time. If you times that, 6 times 20 minutes, you're only going to get about, what, like 120 minutes. Divide that by 2, that's only 2 hours of gameplay in the co-op. That's ridiculous. And there's not even a ranking system. There's just a point system. What makes the co-op even worse is the fact that you're forced to play it. Some of the balanced guns and some of the unique guns you can only get by earning enough points in the co-op. Like, one of them is the 3-burst pistol that we've seen in Modern Warfare 2. The 3-burst pistol, you go, you have to play the co-op to unlock it. Revolver, have to play the co-op to unlock it. Sig 25565, I think it's called, machine gun, you have to play co-op to unlock it. G363, you have to play co-op to unlock it. All these balanced guns that are actually decent and good weapons that can help you in the multiplayer are only unlocked if you play the co-op. So in ways, they're forcing us to play the co-op if we want to unlock these guns, and the co-op is not even worth playing. One thing that I felt that they dropped the ball is the fact that you can't do a split-screen co-op. Like Modern Warfare 3, you can do a split-screen co-op, while this one you have to find someone online or a random person that's playing the same mission as you. And I don't like that, because, remember, I explained it in Modern Warfare 3, 9 times out of 10, you're going to want to look for a buddy. If you try to do a co-op mission by yourself, you're going to end up, 9 times out of 10, having miscommunication and having a bad teammate. So this causes issues, and this is why I don't like the co-op. It's cheap as hell, they force you to play to unlock guns, and it's not any fun. Not to mention it's only 2 hours of gameplay. So you could beat it in one sit down with a good friend, you could beat it in one sit down, and that's it. That's all you had to do. I'm never playing the co-op again, I'm never playing the story again. That's how much I'm against it. Alright. Now that we talk about the bad and the ugly, let's talk about the good. The multiplayer. Quite honestly, Battlefield 3 has a really good multiplayer. This is by far my favorite first-person shooter multiplayer experience ever. They have 5 different game modes. They have Team Deathmatch, Conquest, Rush, Squad Team Deathmatch, and Squad Rush. I'll explain each game mode little by little. Team Deathmatch is, of course, it's the standard game of Deathmatch. I think it's first to 100 points or 150 wins. No, I don't think it's that high. But you get the point. I think it's first to 100 or something like that, wins the game. Straight up Team Deathmatch, nothing, significant. The next one is Conquest, which I have to admit, that's the meat of the potato for Modern Warfare. Why did I say Modern Warfare? Battlefield 3. The thing about this game that makes it superior to Modern Warfare 3, the multiplayer, is the vehicle combat. There are multiple vehicles you can use in the game, ranging from planes, jets, helicopters, jeeps, BMPs, tanks, boats. All these type of vehicles you can use in the Conquest mode, because the Conquest mode has really large and really massive maps that you can play in. So you need to be in a vehicle if you want to get in on the action. And there's a lot of combat elements when you're using the vehicle action. Like when I was running across the map, I was watching 2 of my allies take out one enemy in the sky in a dogfight. And I was enjoying watching it until they finally took out the enemy. I thought that was cool. I can't pull that kind of stuff off right now because I haven't flown a plane yet. I've flown helicopters and I've drove in a Jeep. But every time I flew a helicopter, I crashed it. After playing the co-op, I learned how to fly one, so now I can fly a helicopter. Anyways, the thing about the multiplayer, there is a learning curve to it. It's not like, Modern Warfare 3 where you'll just start the multiplayer and you can just run right in there and get kills quickly. In the multiplayer in Battlefield 3, you gotta work. Like, you gotta work hard, you gotta push yourself to learn this kind of stuff. And when you learn this kind of stuff, you feel rewarded because you start getting better and better at what you're doing. So, Like, once I learned how to fly a helicopter, I'm like, yes, I know how to fly a helicopter now. Now I can actually do some vehicle-on-vehicle combat. I can do something now instead of just being on the ground and shooting with my machine gun. I feel rewarded because of that. Not to say that it's going to be annoying to learn how to use these vehicles. It takes a lot of work. You're not going to learn it in one game. You're going to have to practice constantly. But the Conquest mode is all vehicles, which is a good mode. This is what gives Battlefield 3 its edge over Modern Warfare 3. It's vehicle-on-vehicle combat, and its multiplayer is more balanced. Like, some of the guns are balanced out, and there are 4 classes. There's Assault class, Recon class, Support class, and Engineer. Assault class is your normal, like, run-of-the-mill assault rifle guy, carrying med kits and grenades and stuff like that. Engineer's it's good for Conquest games because you can use Engineer to repair vehicles or destroy vehicles. Most of the time they'll only carry like SMGs and shotguns and stuff like that. Third class is Support, which is my favorite. Basically, they carry LMGs or SMGs. It all depends on what you like. So I use an LMG in my class, but I use an LMG that has 45 bullets, which is a clip. Now, the good thing about this class is that you can drop portable ammo. So, like, if you're with a team and they're holding off one location, you could drop ammo for them, and they can just pick up the ammo when they start running out, and they can hold that location for longer, which is good for rush games. This is good for, like, when you're playing a rush game or something like that. It really is, though. And finally, there's the Recon class, which is your run-of-the-mill sniper. Recon is your run-of-the-mill sniper class. So, when you use Recon, you're going to be sniping. This is good for when you're on a large map, especially in a Conquest mode. Especially when you're doing a Conquest mode or when you're doing a rush game. So, I never use Recon that much because I'm not very good with snipers in that game. But, it's definitely a worthwhile game. Okay. The last game mode I want to talk about is, Rush. Rush mode basically works like this. You got a team of attackers and a team of defenders. Basically, the attackers need to attack certain locations and bomb those locations. The defenders need to defend those locations until the other team runs out of respawns. The other team gets about 100 respawns. But if they destroy a location, their respawns regenerate back to 100. So, you got to be able to hold them off until they run out. If they can bomb all the locations, they win. If you can prevent them from getting all the bomb locations, you win. So that's the point of Rush. And basically, it's the person who can win best, I guess, 2 out of 3 in a way. Basically, it's like 2 rounds. You get me? It's 2 rounds. One person, well, 3 if it's a tie, I guess. But it's 2 rounds basically. If you can win one, and then if you can win another one, basically, like, first person to get the 2 points wins the game. Rush, I don't like too much. I'm not very good at Rush. I didn't do gameplay for it because it was difficult for me to find a Rush server. So, I found servers last night when I was playing, but I couldn't find enough to, like, do recordings. So, that's what I gotta say about the multiplayer. I definitely give the multiplayer its props. If Battlefield 3 focused on the multiplayer more, I guarantee you this game would have been a really good seller. Alright, let's get into the next part. Let's get into the lesser parts now. The graphics. The graphics in this game, I have to admit, are groundbreaking. They're really good graphics. I love them. It looks like I'm in a movie or something like that. Facial recognition is pretty good. Well, actually, some of the character graphics isn't that great. Most of the character graphics, I don't know, it felt more like PS2-ish. I gotta admit that one. Like, when I saw Dimitri for the first time, I was like, what the fuck? This looks like PS2 graphics. I was a little dumbfounded on that one. And the second thing is that, the graphics of when you see the sun, when there's explosions, when you get blinded by a flashlight and stuff like that, it's realistic, which is what I like. So, like, when you get blinded by a flashlight, you see, like, a flashlight all over, even a shine and stuff like that. You're trying to fire on them. You'll also see, like, different effects like that is what makes the game really cool. But I feel like they have too many effects. Because, like, you get blinded by a flashlight one moment, then a grenade goes off, causing, like, this, shell shock where, like, you know, you're like, you can't hear nothing. Like, you can't hear nothing, and your vision is blurred for a second. Ugh. I felt like they put too much at one time. That's not too bad of a negative, but it still hinders the game in most ways. It makes it harder for you to get kills. The music, it's okay. I like the music. It's got its moments. It's definitely got its moments, the music. The music definitely has its moments when it needs it. And I do like the timing for some of the music. It's really good. But it's not groundbreaking. It's not groundbreaking compared to like a game like Uncharted 3. Uncharted 3 had a really good music score. Skyrim had one of the best music scores I've heard in a long time. And Modern Warfare 3 has a pretty good music score too. This one's got a good music score, but not too much music around the time. Alright then. I think we talked about enough about this game. We talked about the graphics, we talked about the music, we talked about the multiplayer, co-op, we talked about the story. There's a lot of things I could say about this game, but there just isn't enough. Alright, so let's get to the end of the review. And I know a lot of people are going to be a little upset with me. Is this game a good shooter? Yes. Should you pick it up? Yeah. Should this be a Game of the Year contender? No. I agree with that. This game's a good shooter, and it was in the running for Shooter of the Year, but I don't think it deserves Shooter of the Year. I'll get into it later why I say that against Modern Warfare 3. I know I'm going to be doing a video like that, Modern Warfare 3 versus Battlefield 3. But here's the thing. This didn't have a great storyline. The storyline was pretty shitty. The co-op, it was forced upon. You had to do the co-op. Quite honestly, it felt like the co-op and the story mode was thrown in there just so DICE can say they can have competition to Modern Warfare 3. Honestly, DICE wanted to create a game that can rival Modern Warfare 3. It rivaled in multiplayer. The multiplayer is definitely good, but the story and co-op feels so out of place, and it doesn't even have like great, like, you know, the story and co-op isn't all that great. If they focused more on multiplayer, I guarantee you this would have won Shooter of the Year, and it might have been nominated for Game of the Year. It might have. But as it stands, Battlefield 3, good multiplayer. It's actually an awesome multiplayer experience. Definitely pick it up for the multiplayer. Forget about the story. Forget about the co-op. Play the multiplayer. You will enjoy yourself. It's better to get this on a PC because of the larger player base, because the consoles can't handle it. The most players that you'll see on here is about 12 players. 12 on 12. So that's 24. I think they can hold up to 32 on the PC. So that's 16 players on a large game. I could be wrong, could be more, but you get the point. This is more of a PC game than anything else. It's still good on the consoles. It's still a great game. Well, it's a great multiplayer experience, but the story and co-op are not worth it. Because the story and co-op play such a large effect into the game, remember, because you have to grade a game on everything, not just multiplayer. If I was grading this on multiplayer alone, I would be as bold to give this game a 9.25. Yes, if it was just a multiplayer game, I would give this a 9.25. But because of the fact that this game has a bad story, a bad co-op, and the co-op and stuff is forced upon you, not to mention you need an online code, and there's other things like that that hinder the game, I'm sorry to say that the multiplayer is great, but this game's only a 7.5. I know a lot of people just got pissed off with me. They're getting ready to knock down my door, but this game, if it was just multiplayer, it gets a 9.5. But the fact that the story mode and the co-op is in there and it's not even that great, I have to give this game a 7.5. I mean, like, the multiplayer is great. This is definitely a game you want to pick up. It's a game you want to pick up. It's a game you want to buy, but you only want to buy this for the multiplayer. Don't even go to the story mode. Story's not worth it. Co-op's not worth it. The multiplayer is definitely where you'll get your bang for your buck. Get me? The multiplayer is where you'll definitely get your money's worth. So, Battlefield 3, 7.5. I'm sorry, guys, but that's how it is. If it was just a multiplayer experience, it'd get a really high score. But the fact that it has such a bad story and a bad co-op, I can't, like, give it a better score than that. If the story was at least decent and the co-op was decent, I would have given it an 8.25. But the fact that it felt like it was just thrown in there and rushed, it doesn't deserve any higher than that. So, later on I will be doing my comparison of Battlefield 3 and Modern Warfare 3 and telling you which one should you pick. So, thanks for watching. This is Keen947 aka Wolfkeen. Catching you later.